Tony Polizzi says George Benson let him play what he wanted to play, and it was a good guy, and he told stories. If you were on the tour bus with George Benson, he was that type of guy. We hear about sharing the stage with the legendary George Benson, and more about Tony P's new music. There'll be links in the description. George Benson, I had a chance to hang out with George, interview him backstage of the Canadian Smooth Jazz Awards when we gave him the first George Benson Lifetime Achievement Award. Then we called it the George Benson. But he's just like, to me, something about him is just like because I don't know him. You toured with him, but he just seemed, during the interview, it just seemed really mellow. Then at the end, the lady who set up the interview told me, she says, you know what, if he's getting tired, talk about, being a JW. And he'll wait. I said, I love talking about people's spirituality or whatever you believe in. I said, sure, I can do that. And of course, that's exactly what happened. He, he got all excited, and it was a great interview. But what was it like working with George Benson?
There's another musician responsible for a lot of my development here in this town, and his name is David Garfield. I started working with him when he was coming into Cleveland. He was one of the guys I was requesting to work with me because I was referred from one of the progressive rock stations. He was looking for people to work with because of his work with Lukather and Los Lobotomists and all that. He was in that thing. And then one day I got a call from David. I'm like nearly, whoa, what's going on? So I'm like, okay. And he wanted me to come down and play a couple songs with him. This is back around 2007. So I just went down there. He's like, yeah, this is great. It was because his mom lived in Cleveland. So he was coming on in playing there frequently. So the next time he came in, it was like a year and a half later, and Dave had Steve Ferrone come through. He had Alex Lidgerwood come in. I'm like, oh my God, and
Santana, love him. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. These are all now they're all friends of mine, but I was able to play with them, and I started a great working relationship with Dave, and he just opened me up to many of the people in LA. He put me out there. He's like, hey man, this is great, call this guy. And David was George's musical director for many, many, many years. And Michael O'Neill, the main guitar player for George Benson, he had to go out and do a stint with Barbra Streisand in 2016. This was it was in 2016. And I just got a call like that. He said, hey, Tony, we need you to come out with George for like a string of dates. I'm like, great. That's awesome. So I learned the whole set. I sang background. The first concert, I said, David, where are we going with this? I know there's solos or this or that. I want to be respectful of this. He says, Tony, you're the rock guy. George is the jazz guy. And then he just let me play what I wanted to play. And George was just, he was so happy. He was so happy with what I did. The times that I talked to him, there was a time when we were walking, we were on the bus. We were going over the GW, and he was pointing, going to New Jersey to go to another casino. And he was pointing down, hey, Tony, you see that over there? That's where Peter Frampton's house was. This is where my house was. And this is that. And he told me the point of why he got two guitar players was when Frampton Comes Alive come out. And he's like, he heard this big thunderous sound. He's like, all right, man, I'm going to expand my band. I'm going to get two guitar players now. That's what George told me. I mean, George goes back to the 60s with people that I grew up playing jazz in Cleveland, in Leo's Casino with my friend, rest in peace, Eddie Backus Sr. He would also come in, George would come in and play organ for him. So, and he knew all those guys. I just great talks with him of just about jazz history and stuff. And man, it was just a great experience. Great experience.
I'm always educating people about George. The fact that there was so many different, the guy did, I remember when he was doing the Beatles, I think it was The Other Side of Abbey Road, I think it was called. I'm just so much layers of what he had done. And then then Breezin' gets released in the 70s. It becomes like the biggest selling jazz album of all time. It was jazz pop, but still, it was just amazing. And we're, in redoing songs and doing other people's, when I remember when I heard I Just Want to Hang Around You, I remember thinking, at the time, I was like, that is the most beautiful song I've ever heard in my life. It's not always on his great. Did he play that in concert? Do you remember?
I just want to hang around you.
Yeah, I just want to hang around.
To me, I haven't done that song.
Yeah, I don't think he did. It's usually not on the best ofs. And I'm going, that's like my favorite. That's such a beautiful song, but he is just such a craftsman. I mean, I love the man.
Yeah. Oh no, it's just great. And just the whole shebang of it. There's many people who can't attain what he did. The singing and the guitar playing, and that influence is there. And we all learned how to play like him, but I know that I got to be me when I'm stepping out there too. I mean, I fight that all the time. I just, okay, we can do this or do that, but I'm ready for me. I'm ready to give myself a chance here.
And I was going, when you said you're the man, there's something about, and it's a confidence thing, and there's something about telling yourself that, and that little thing that bands do before they go on stage. There's that football players, athletes do it, when they get in do you tell yourself that, or do you have to? I always feel it's a good thing. I don't do it enough to myself of going, John, you're doing a video. You're the man. They're coming to watch you. And I don't do that enough. But what do you have I think
if I'm a side man in a band, I don't have any responsibility. Although I want to say that I have a responsibility to make that artist look good. I want to make George Benson look and sound like $1 million. I want Rick Braun to sound great. I want Dave Koz to know that I was behind him and I made that down. That's my responsibility. My responsibility is, if I'm the other guy, it's like, okay, how many people are going to come to the show? What's the venue? What's this? How can I break even? Or, I need to pay my guys. Those are all the other things you're thinking about when you're on that side. And even when you're starting your careers in this, so these sometimes you don't have all the capital. A lot of guys are taking risks, or they're doing this. They're doing this for the betterment of their career. And now it's like, man, let's make this thing happen for this guy, or let's make this thing happen. We're doing a show for Rick in like next week. We're doing it in a theater. We got to make this thing look good. This is the way it is.
Yeah. Well said.
Make it sound good. That's it.
By the way, I like on A Moment in Time when you're singing the chorus and then you're emulating it, repeating it with the guitar. I love when people do that. I freaking love. There's just something about the way I'm wired. I went, yeah, you did that. Yeah.
I gotta thank my wife for that. She's always coming in. We say, man, you need something there. This is not good. That's it. And then I ended up changing the whole song, but this is what we ended up with. So we ended up, making it work, building it up.
Inside, I wrote fuzzy, dirty, gritty, and rocker. I mean, I just love that. What's that guitar? What is that you're doing on that? Like, I mean, it's a little fuzzier, a little. What is that on Inside?
It's wah-wah, and we have a distorted. You have two stereo guitars playing the thing, and then you have the distorted guitar. That was the live part too, actually. But I ended up recording the rhythm stuff in stereo, and then you hear that, and then I put my backgrounds in the wash in the bridge. So that's what that sounds like.
Tony P, as he's known to a lot of his friends and fans, has a brand new EP out. He's released a whole bunch of songs, and we'll have links to it in the description of this page. He's such a nice guy, and he's worked with so many people. A lot of smooth jazzers, but George Benson, as mentioned, Natalie Cole, Dionne Warwick, been on a lot of big shows like American Idol. Get more information on him via the links in the description. I'm John Beaudin.